Okay, we'll go ahead and call the Ford County Commission meeting to order. This is meeting 2203. And to start it off, we'll have a prayer from Corky Spitler of Christ the King Lutheran Church. Spitler.
Thank you, Lord, for placing us in this area that we love and care for here in the plains of southwest Kansas. We thank you that you have placed us in the midst of sprawling farms and ranches, as well as so much cultural diversity where we can rub shoulders with people from all over the world. We know that such diversity brings with it many challenges and opportunities, as well as great complexity. And so I pray for our commissioners who are on the front line of managing that complexity and those challenges and opportunities. Grant them with the grace and wisdom to know how to move forward, that Ford County may continue to be a good home for all the people who live here. In Christ's name I pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First up is a consent agenda, which has a meeting minutes from 2022-02, a credit card statement, a cereal malt beverage license for KVMS Emprise Inc., which is Gunsmoke RV Park, and then a cereal malt beverage license for Rancho El Napolito from Noe Ochoa.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that. And with motion second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up is approval of claims for payment. This is the amount of $1,106,737.91. Anything big to point out?
Motorola contracts, their health, payroll clearing, memberships, dues.
Normal.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the claims for payment as presented.
I'll second that. I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is the point of the meeting where we come for open public comments. Please limit 5 minutes per individual and 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until the next county commission meeting unless an emergency situation does arise, and I see people stand up already. So when you come on up, just go ahead and state who you are and where you're from.
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Heckey, the HR director. I brought today the staff from Caribou Drive. They both have local ties. You may know them already. Just want to introduce them. They have some things to say about themselves and some pretty exciting enhancements to the place. So
Okay.
I'll let them do their thing.
I'm Denise Martinez, I'm the office manager,
Okay.
clinic manager. I started with the clinic in November. Pretty new, but I do have 10 years of experience from medical health facility management, so I'm happy to be there. Our first announcement is our extended hours that we can provide for the employees. Still 3 days a week, but those days, from Tuesday, they are from 8 to 6, Wednesday 10 to 6, and Thursday 8 to 3. So those will be our extended hours, so that all the employees know that. We are available, I know it might have been an issue before, but we are more available through email, through our website. We have our app that everybody can download. You can call. There's so many ways that you can get a hold of me, and I'll be able to help you schedule appointments, make sure we get you taken care of. So I just want to make that, that there are a lot of options out there to get a hold of us to schedule.
So what would the app be called?
It's our Hilo app. That's the name of it. And when you go to our clinic, and maybe we can post it on the web, this will be out there, and it'll give you our website and show you the Hilo app.
Okay.
And walk you through, and if anybody needs help with it, I'm there to help you get that set up. So there's a lot of ways of communication that you can get a hold of me to help you get into the clinics and everything. And, yeah, I think that's much on the hours, how to get a hold of us. Like I said, I'm here, I'm board born and raised here in Dodgeville, so I have a lot of local ties in my family.
Nice.
So, really excited to be up there now.
Back home.
I'm back, well, I've always been in Dodge, but
Oh.
I'm back to doing what I like to do, and I love my community, being able to help others, so I'm really glad to be there.
Okay.
Who you have with you, Denise?
This is our new nurse practitioner.
Elizabeth Hart. Yeah.
Elizabeth?
I was born here, moved away, but hoping to move back. Right now I'm commuting between here and Goddard. I have an apartment here, and I lived there, but I was raised in Garden, Dodge, good stuff. I'm family nurse practitioner, travel nurse, ER, ICU for 10 years. Some in Kansas, and then like North Dakota, Texas, kind of all over.
Yep. So when the Hatchet game comes up, who do you cheer for?
Demon.
Nope, just checking. No, sure, we're red.
I haven't been gone that long.
Yeah. You mentioned Garden.
Still, I was born here.
Yep.
What else? We have dietitian services now. Mindy Gray is doing televisits on Thursdays for 4 hours. And then we have a behavioral health counselor doing any mental health counseling or services that people need for 10 hours a week as well. And our dietitian, she's already, I think we booked her out almost completely the first week. We had really good response.
Great.
Just extended hours and membership.
Oh,
Membership for-
and the membership's gonna be open to the, not just the employees that are on the plan, but to their dependents and families until the end of the year. For free.
Okay, so what do you mean by families? What is, how,
I think they're classifying as, like immediate family,
inside the household?
inside the household, yeah,
Okay.
that aren't initially on the group plan.
Okay.
If they're not on your plan, you're still a member of the household, you'll be able to contact them. You just,
Yeah, for free till the end of the year.
I have a roster to go by, so
No, okay.
as long as you know you're employed through the county and you're a family member, we'll just need to take care of it.
And the benefit for going to your facility helps them how?
Zero copay for office visits, zero copay for labs, and usually we're able to get people scheduled within a day.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't get you in like as a walk-in, like immediately, obviously, you have the benefit of not having to pay it for cost.
Yeah.
And even when we're closed, we're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Mondays and Fridays, we're still available to help anybody.
Okay.
Just because we're closed doesn't mean we're out there.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
So just to reiterate, the kiddos to age 26, so all employees and their spouses and dependents to age 26. It'll be the easiest to get them on the roster if the employees go to the UKG app and list all their dependents. That way I can get the names to the clinic so that they're not held up when they're trying to schedule appointments. So absolutely free membership till the end of the year. Carmenade with Revere Health has offered that service at no additional cost to the county. So I'm really grateful that he is being that generous. So
All right.
I'm
Thank you.
excited.
Kids to age 26.
It's pretty impressive. I was married before 26.
That was a hard concept for me to get my head around, that we're calling the kids to age 26.
You're probably still your mama's baby.
Oh, jeez.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you. My name is Lane Sharman. I'm a visitor from California. And I just want to thank you and the community for all your work that you're doing to maintain an open mind to renewable energy. I think it's an important transition that we're experiencing in our country. And I just want to thank you all for keeping that dialogue open and fair-minded. So, thank you very much.
Sure. Anyone else in public comment? I can't see behind the polls. Nope.
There's so many minutes in there.
All right, we have, moving on, we have no unfinished business and no legal counsel, so I'll turn it over to the county administrator's report.
First item we have is Community Facility Advisory Board appointments. Melissa?
Good afternoon, Chairman. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. Excited to be here and present this reappointment and two appointments to the Community Facility Advisory Board. This is for a reappointment of Martha Mendoza to serve a second three-year term. Also for Hugo Garcia, he would be filling a vacancy that was left for an at-large position when Mike Martinez's term ended. And for Paige Bangeter to fill the existing at-large term for Michael Burns, who was recently elected to the city commission, and that term ends in 2024. And so we did put this out with the city's advisory board positions, and we had a total of 4 candidates. We had a chance to look through this with the CFAB chair and vice chair. The chair is Michael Brakey, and the vice chair is Angela Unruh. Share that with Administrator Gilbert, Mr. Hernandez, the city manager, and they all supported, as well as the CFAB board, supported the recommendation. And just a little bit of background, particularly for Ms. Bangeter and Mr. Garcia. They represent some work backgrounds that we don't currently have on the board, but we're also excited about the opportunity to have some representatives from younger generation, not saying that we don't have young members on our board, because we do. I just have to be careful when you say that, right? But excited about that, and also with Ms. Mendoza and Mr. Garcia too, with their connection with the Latino population that we have here. All three are very committed to the county and to the city, and are excited to serve on the board, and of course would meet the requirements of the interlocal agreement. So, go ahead and open up if you have any questions.
Was, of the 4 candidates you said that were open, Paige and Hugo are the 2 that are being brought forward, right?
Yes,
Martha was not one of those.
No,
But she was just
she was not. She would be,
re-upping.
yes, she was interested in being reappointed. And we had also, Ms. Bangeter had presented an application previously when we appointed Angela Unruh to the board.
Okay.
So that was a very tough decision between the 2 of them, and at the time, we decided to move forward with appointing Ms. Unruh based on her experience with the financial experience, so.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the reappointment and appointments to the Community Facility Advisory Board as recommended.
I'll second that. Any further comments? All right. I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Melissa. The next item we have is the Fort County Engineer Off-System Bridge 97 Engineering Agreement.
John?
Good afternoon. We've got several items on the agenda today. First one being this off-system Bridge 97. It's a refresher. I assisted Road and Bridge Department to put together a funding application to the Department of Transportation for their local bridge improvement program to replace this bridge, which is on 133 Road, half mile north of Lariat. It's an old concrete, reinforced concrete bridge, built in 1930, so it's over 90 years old, and is structurally deficient, seeing the end of its life. It was selected for funding, which is up to $150,000 to be reimbursed by KDOT through this program. I'm not aware that the state has yet sent the funding agreement, but you will get a funding agreement at some point in time, which will stipulate all the requirements. What I'm presenting today is an engineering agreement to complete the field survey, design and construction inspection during the construction of the structure. I emailed this in last week, and I don't know, Glenn, did you get a chance to look it over? Okay, I wanted to confirm that. So we're here presenting the agreement today to do the engineering work and to help the county bid this project in the bill. The replacement bridge would be a single span steel beam bridge, just similar to what we did to that bridge there just southwest of Ford a few years ago through the same program. Pretty much identical agreement as far as scope and pretty similar scope of construction.
You said this is at 133 in Laredo, North Laredo? North Laredo.
Just north of Laredo.
Area. That'd be south and east of Windhorst. Well, the eastern part of the county.
Okay. So is it cross 133? That's Coon Creek? Is that right?
I'm pretty sure it's Coon Creek.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It's either the, yeah, it is.
It's, I think it's
Creek.
Coon Creek
Yeah.
out there still.
You got the Coon Creek and the Cow Creek
133.
run right together right there, so they're,
This one straight south of the church.
south
It's
of Lutheran
south
Church.
of Lutheran Church.
But there's two creeks that run across there south of the Lutheran Church, one of them's a cow and one of them's a coon.
This that
I'm
real
pretty sure
narrow one.
it's the narrow concrete one, it's pretty tall over top the creek.
It goes
Yeah.
up and
Yep,
over.
yep.
Dangerous if you don't know about it.
Mhm.
What'd you say?
Dangerous if you don't know about it.
Because of the curve.
Yeah.
The max award is 150,
Correct.
and that's what we are
And
awarded
that's
on
what
this?
you're awarded. This particular program, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a state-funded program, it's not a federal aid. It's a little bit different. You can do a little bit different design, a little bit less regulation involved in the state-funded projects. We go, they call it low-cost bridge, a single span steel beam with no guardrail for the side rails. And because it's state-funded, the county will actually bid the project, whereas the federal aid projects, KDOT will actually bid theirs.
Gotcha.
A little bit different.
I'd make a motion to approve the off-system bridge 97 engineering agreement with Crooked Michael.
I would second the motion.
With motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Next item is for County Engineer, Iron Star Wind Farm, addendum to road maintenance agreement.
So this is addendum number 2 for the road maintenance agreement. And the reason for this addendum, Crooked Michael had been contracted by Ford County to assist them during construction of the wind farm for road documentation, and then have on-site liaison person, which we've had throughout the duration of construction of the wind farm. The budget for that person was set based on a project completion date of December 31st. 2021, and wind farm construction, or wind towers themselves have been erected and constructed and are up and running, is my understanding. The cleanup work, if you will, on the Cannon Road system is still ongoing. Maybe 2 more weeks or so they expect to be done, so they did go beyond the December 31st date. And then once their cleanup is completed, we will go out and examine the roadways and drainage culverts for their after construction condition, and assess that the wind farm contractor put them back in the condition that they were at the time before construction, if not a little bit better. So this additional service, or this addendum 2, was to allow us an additional $50,000 in budget, which will be reimbursed by the wind farm. So the original budget was $375,000, and it's being increased to $425,000. This has already been approved by Iron Star Wind, so it's just being presented for approval and authorization by the county commissioners. And again, this would be reimbursed by the wind farm.
Glenn, is there any recourse on making an addendum to a road maintenance agreement? Like in a situation like this?
Any problem with it?
Yeah.
No. And we've actually made, this is the second one we've made, one addendum to it already.
Yeah, the first addendum was because of additional routes that the wind farm needed to use, in addition to what was identified in the original road use maintenance agreement.
Okay.
So that was bid one. This one is really more just about budget because of the timeline of construction was taking longer than what they had projected at the beginning of the project.
Okay. All right, I'd make a motion to approve the addendum to the road maintenance agreement with Iron Star Wind Farm.
One second.
All right, motion second. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Next item we have is the Fort County Engineer Report.
Okay, appreciate approval of the first two items. Then we'll get on to the fun stuff, right? The engineering report. Now I'm gonna just focus on the active items. If you have questions on any others, certainly feel free to ask. As already noted on the Iron Star Wind, the contractor is working on cleaning up and we call reclaiming the roadways that were utilized during construction. Probably the more significant type of reclamation is where they improved the radiuses. Obviously, a lot of rural county roads and township roads have very short radiuses or almost no radius. So, a lot of them are very 90-degree intersections. So to get those long tower sections and the wind blades along there, a lot of times they have to build their own road, so to speak, across the corner of somebody's field to make those big sweeping curves. In order to do that, they'd have to deviate off the existing roadway. So they're going and cleaning those up, removing the rock where appropriate, restoring the drainage ditches where they were, things of that nature. This time they're projecting being done with that work in about 2 weeks. I think they've got everything pretty much west of 283 done, and then they're working more on the east side of 283 at this time. So getting pretty close to wrapping that project up. Got a note on, always try to keep up to date on the Highway 50 expansion between Dodge City and Cimarron. Reported before that KDOT had opened bids in December. Again, the bid has been awarded to Cost Construction out of Topeka. We're getting word on the street, I guess, if you will, that Cost is going to start construction sometime this spring. Don't have an exact date yet. And we're anticipating a pre-construction meeting to be scheduled maybe in February or March. Hopefully late February, so we can get a proposed schedule at that time. My company, Kirk and Michael, has been selected by KDOT to assist them with inspection during construction of that project, so we will have people out there on that project throughout the course, which is anticipated to take about 3 years,
Okay.
typically. Kind of in relation to that, I think it's under the new business items. So with construction of this project, KDOT will be building some access roads, so they're trying to reduce the number of access points to the highway. On a 4-lane expressway, that is one major goal, and that's for safety enhancements. In order to do that, especially where there's more housing in areas, they're gonna reduce the number of driveways, if you will, to Highway 50 and try to consolidate those into a smaller number and then provide access roads that parallel the highway. In doing that, KDOT's expectation is then the county will take over maintenance of those roads when the construction project is completed. KDOT did provide an agreement, a state-county agreement for us to review, which would clarify which roads are to be maintained and in which manner they would be maintained. I've not had a chance to review that agreement as of yet. I don't know if that's been forwarded to you yet, Glenn, or not.
It is.
If you want Glenn to review it, we can, Chris Wright will make sure he gets a copy of that.
And it wouldn't be a township's responsibility before it'd be a county responsibility?
I think that's our anticipation, because they'll all be paved roads.
Okay.
KDOT does plan to surface all of them, going to memory, I believe, is 7 inches of hot mix asphalt is we put on all those roads. So typically, that would be following the county maintenance at that point. These are not currently existing roads, so they would be new roads. And so at some point, for 911 purposes, I assume these roads will probably need to be named by somebody as well. I don't know what the process is for that. Dispatch does that. So. Again, I don't have a schedule for construction yet. My anticipation is that the dirt work for the new lanes, so the general context of construction is the 2 new lanes will be built to the north of the existing highway. And then the existing highway will be reconstructed in some locations and refurbished in some locations. It won't be a total reconstruction. So my anticipation is the general construction schedule would be building the box culverts and the dirt work on the new lanes, which would be to the north in 2022. Paving those lanes in 2023, getting started probably on the refurbishing the old highway in late 2023, and then finishing up everything in 2024. So the final completion date, I believe, is April of 2025. So those connector or those access roads will probably be paved and ready to be utilized like in 2023 at some point. Maybe in the summer, maybe in the fall. We'll see what the contractor schedule says, and then of course, weather and other things could change that. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't think they would probably be in service until next year at the earliest. Like I said, we'll see what the contractor schedule says.
John, do you think the roads, are you talking tying those in with like 106, 107, 108, so on and so forth, so they stay in line?
Some of them tie into a county road, some of them are on themselves. It'd be like an entrance, taking an existing entrance and then branching an access road both directions, or even maybe one direction off that entrance, so they would be brand new roads kind of on the road.
Come by, actually.
Yeah.
And then for Rob and I's purposes on first responders out there, is there a way that they could keep us updated on areas that they're working on? You're in an area that we have a high call volume load, so
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know what we're gonna have to deal with and getting the equipment out there.
When we get notice of the pre-construction conference, maybe we can ask that the law enforcement be invited, or emergency services have at least one representative there. And then we can talk about, usually on a project of this scale, the contractors will have either weekly or bi-weekly meetings, and they could either have you attend those meetings perhaps, or we send out some kind of updated schedule of what's going on and where and when. So it's a pretty big project, so we'll see how many places they have going at once as far as construction. But we'll certainly keep you up to speed on that. The next item that I had to talk about was the roadway improvements related to the Hillman Cheese plant. So Kirk and Michael had preliminarily completed the traffic impact study to identify roadway improvements that would be needed to accommodate the traffic for this plant. The last word I got from our traffic engineer was last week was that KDOT was moving towards accepting our traffic impact study. We in large part have completed it several months ago, but we're massaging some of the final language to satisfy KDOT, but we got word that KDOT was planning to accept the last iteration we turned in. So in a nutshell, what that involved was paving of 112 Road south of 56 Highway for a mile, and then paving Outlaw Road for a mile going east from 283, so the two would intersect there at Outlaw and 112. It also involved constructing turning lanes on Highway 56 at the 112 Road intersection, and then also construct a right turn lane for northbound traffic on Highway 283, turning onto Outlaw Road. And then the final item of that would be to make some kind of improvements at the intersection of 56 and 283 Highway where they meet. So the county had previously contracted Kirk and Michael to move forward with the preliminary survey of those projects because the county was able to procure consultant much faster than KDOT can, and this is a very fast-paced project. We have completed the field survey as far as the topography. We've also been directed by KDOT to go ahead and map out the existing right-of-way. If you recall, that was part of our survey agreement. At that time, it was kind of up in the air. KDOT asked us to go ahead and include it. But I did forward an email on to Administrator Gilbert that KDOT verified they do want us to complete those services because they do not have the manpower to do it themselves. Typically, KDOT does that work themselves with their own staff. So we'll be working on mapping out the existing right-of-way here in the coming weeks. Our goal is to have that done by the end of February. And then we're also to obtain certificates of title for all the properties that we anticipate could be impacted with the need for additional right-of-way or easements for the project. Consequent to all that, then Michael was selected by KDOT to develop construction plans for the 112 and Outlaw Road improvements. And then the company MKEC, which I believe is Mid-Kansas Engineering Consultants out of Wichita, has been selected to do the design of the intersection, the two highway intersections, which is 283 and 56.
So I think the question we always get in the community is, what is that intersection gonna look like? Like, I know roundabout has been thrown out there and people are wondering, is,
So my understanding with MKEC is they're gonna do a follow-up, further analysis of the intersection. So roundabout is not a dead set item yet. They're gonna do some additional analysis very quickly and come up with a final concept.
okay,
And I don't know if KDOT will come relay that to the commissioners in person, or if they might ask me to do that because they know I'm here frequently. So that remains to be seen. I would guess that's gonna take a couple months before they settle on a final concept.
okay.
But yes, roundabout is a potential option that's out there, as well as some other things.
I think it's gonna be so interesting to see how big that would become with the size of these trucks and all the other trucks that move around that corner.
So basically, the concept we looked at in our traffic impact study would be very similar to what was built south of St. John, which is the Highway 50 281 junction.
Yeah.
It might need to be a little bit bigger.
I was even thinking it had to be bigger than that.
It might be a little bigger. That's part of what they're gonna look at through this further study that MKC has performed.
Is that Newton or
Well-
Emporia that has one of those?
Emporia has one, Newton has a roundabout that's not on a highway, it's more
Right,
of
off the
a
highway.
city road, adjacent to the interstate. But the one south of St. John, that's Highway 50 and 281, so it gets a lot of semi-traffic.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we're gonna have semi-traffic wanting to slow down and turn in versus some that just wanna go straight.
And they'll all go around, part of it at least. Now, the one south of St. John also has kind of a diamond-shaped bypass around the roundabout, which was constructed, I think initially more as temporary detour during construction, but they left them in place for the wind tower traffic to use
That's,
specifically.
I'm thinking about the footprint of that thing.
Everything on my corner would have to be moved.
On your corner, you got
Moppins.
Moppin's corner there, even the.
Testing
The-
facility.
yeah.
That's for sale, I saw that today, that corner.
Over there. That'd be pretty tight to put that kind of a footprint in there right now.
Well, the elevation, it's taller.
It would probably have to be raised up a little bit. There are there's power lines all around the intersection, there's phone lines, fiber optics, there's a lot of things that would have to get.
Water.
City water.
So
That'd be
that may
pretty
play an
impressive.
impact in what's selected for the final concept too. If it looks like that, the utility side is insurmountable in a short duration, then they may have to look at plan B. But I'm pretty much out of that at this point. That's
Sure.
been turned over to another consulting firm.
We get a contractor.
So the general intent of those roadway improvements are to have final plans done around August, construction bids taken in December, and construction completed by the end of 2023. Basically the timeout when Hillmar plans to go into operation.
Okay.
So it'll be a pretty fast-moving process. As part of that process, KDOT has talked about right-of-way acquisition, which would be a key component of, we don't know what that's gonna be yet, but KDOT is planning to take the lead on acquiring any right-of-way on the highways, but then the two county roads, the 2 miles of county road, they're saying the locals, whether it be county or city, however that plays out, will be responsible for the right-of-way acquisition. So that's something that we're gonna talk about pretty early on, about getting that going and get somebody lined up to do that work.
Yeah.
So it'll move fast. It's gonna be a fast-paced summer. A lot of it'll be behind the scenes. Next summer will be the construction side, the part that people will actually see in the public.
I think it's gonna be interesting to see how far north that road becomes. It's just seeing what they're doing with the acquisition of property. It's It's gonna be interesting. I mean, there's that, old gas station that's on the north side of the road, just as you leave going towards Cimarron.
Oh, we're on Highway
And
50, right?
that's been purchased by KDOT. I mean, just,
That's definitely gonna change the face of things a lot. Just seeing the power lines on the south side of the road is
yeah,
kind of tricky when you're driving out there. You're used to being pretty open on that side.
yep.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, it's gonna look a lot different.
Is that an engineering term?
Tricky. Very technical.
MKEC, who is that?
I believe it stands for Mid-Kansas Engineering Consultants. They're out of Wichita.
Okay.
They do a fair amount of KDOT work.
Okay.
All right, a couple more items to touch upon here, and then I'll open up for any questions and wrap up. So previously, Kirk and Michael have been in contract with the county to develop a low water crossing concept for the failed low water crossing on 127 Road, down there between Kettle and Marshall. We have developed preliminary plans for that project. I was hoping to have a field check meeting today while I was here. That didn't quite work out. So we're gonna maybe see if we can meet with the township when they're, if they're available to attend the township meeting next week to review the preliminary plans, talk about the concept, and then talk with Commissioner Tassett about it, since that's in his area, his district. And we're gonna come up with another alternative for some cost. So basically what we came up with, what we ran into is, so currently it's a concrete slab with one tube underneath it. Corps of Engineers considers it's on Coon Creek. They consider that a perennial stream, as it carries water all the time throughout the year. And so their regulations require what they call 85% stream bank full for whatever we put back there now. So when it's basically running bank to bank, not a flood event, but a normal stream bank flow, they want whatever we put in there to carry 85% of that, which is significantly larger than the single pipe that's there now. What we came up with is a concept of putting 4 half railroad tankers to carry that flow. So you think about a tank railroad car that carries oil or other liquid products. Literally what that is, but cut in half lengthwise and then laid on the ground, 4 of those side by side. They're fairly reasonably priced structures, but
Right,
when you
no,
put 4 of them in there, it gets pricey. There was a concrete slab.
4 of those.
We're probably looking at $200,000, $225,000 worth of construction work.
No, we get those little cards, obviously, may have.
Railroad
this-
yard.
Railroad
Yeah,
yard.
railroad yard, and they're like this, little flyers that they
Yeah.
just want you to see, and I thought that'd be one of the coolest things to put out here, just because it seems cost effective.
They are, we've done quite a few projects with them now, both full tanks and half tanks, and they're simple to install.
Yeah,
You know, they fabricate them
Lots
there
of
in
flow.
Oklahoma and truck them up here and drop them off. And we are looking at, after talking to Commissioner Tassett, looking at reducing the footprint of the project a little bit to try to cut the cost down.
so 4 of those.
4 of them.
Man, just being out there, I didn't think it was that, but it's probably longer than I'm thinking.
It's a pretty wide channel.
Yeah.
And those tanks, even a half tank, they're a little over 5 feet tall and about 10 feet wide.
So 10 wide.
So you're talking
40 foot span, yeah, that's probably all that.
total cost.
Okay. I like the idea.
So we're gonna tweak, we're not gonna redraw it yet, but we're gonna come up with a cost for a narrower roadway going across there.
So
And
that's our second one on Coon Creek. What's the timeline on something like this?
there's really no minimum set time because it's a county funded project.
Yeah.
But if the commissioners decide to go forward with the project, we would like to get it bid probably this summer and constructed this year before winter hits.
I didn't know if there's any, like, urgency behind something like this. I mean, just because it is more of us and we're not really working through KDOT or someone else.
I wouldn't say there's an urgency other than people that want to use it, I'm sure we'd like to get that
Right.
sooner than later, but.
I just keep thinking we're gonna get some brown truck stuck in that river at some point.
The other thing that's not inhibiting us at this point on this project, but the Corps of Engineers is renewing their nationwide permit, which this probably would fall under.
Okay.
And they've actually said they're not accepting any permits until that is in place, which may be another month to 2 months anyway.
Okay.
So we're really, even if we were ready to turn in the permits, we're kind of hung up on them for a little while.
Okay.
We've got several projects in that place right now, so Like I said, we're gonna, hopefully I can have that cost estimate done for next week, so we can bring it back at least to talk at the township meeting, and then we can revisit it the next, commission meeting.
Yeah.
If we come up with that, if everybody's agreeable to that concept and cost, and ask for, backing from the full commission, move forward to final design and bidding at that time.
Yeah.
So we're talking about March.
Okay.
And so on to the last, I think the last two items I have here, the paved road reclamation process. So our intent was to bid the reclamation for 102 Road this spring. We do have preliminary plans developed for that project. Chris and I went out and drove that road. Our primary goal for today was to look at the basic concept and drainage structures, pipes, or if there were box culverts. We just found basically two pipes that went over the road between Highway 50 and Garnett, and then bid the project this spring. However, in light of the premature cracks that we've experienced on Jewel Road, we want to hold off until we can do some more investigative work on Jewel Road. We want to produce projects that perform, so until we can hopefully get a good understanding of what caused these cracks to show up on Jewel Road, we don't want to do that again. So we want to do some more investigating on Jewel Road, try to determine if we can figure out what's causing those cracks, and try to fix that situation so we don't replicate it on the next project. So we're gonna hold off anything on 102 Road for a little while. Terracon is planning on coming out, hopefully not this week, but the next week, to extract more cores out of Jewel Road and send them to an independent lab for further analysis of the asphalt and the base material both. So we can try to figure out if there's any single cause or if there's a combination of things that have just created this situation. And again, see if there's something we need to do on our end, or if there's, just what is the issue to try to avoid it on the next project. So that's what we're doing with those two projects, really.
Okay.
So as soon as we get that, any information we get, we'll certainly share that with the commission and discuss where we go from here. Really, the final thing I had was Wheatland Township had requested us to do a drainage analysis on a culvert set up on Horseshoe Road between 132 and 133, asking what it would take for the number of culverts to convey a 2- and 5-year storm event, as they were considering maybe upgrading the culverts in that location. We completed that study and have provided information to Chris at Road Bridge, and he'll talk with the township about if they want to move forward with that or not. They do, I think we figured it would be in a county structure to install the additional culverts. But we'll at least Chris will meet with the township and then see if they want to move forward with that or not. I'll let you know.
Did, maybe you know this off the top of your head, maybe you don't, but did that, well, there's not really a design here that you've looked at yet on that particular deal.
Not a specific design. What we looked at is how much flow was coming to that location and how many culverts would it take to convey the flow based on those different storm events. And so right now they have 3 culverts out there now.
3 of them in there right now.
There's 3 now, but as far as spaced as they are, they constitute each individual structure.
Yeah.
Because they're spaced out too far. So for the main channel, there would need to be at least 3 36-inch culverts in that main area to convey the water that goes through there. But there's just been so much, the way it's been there, the water's spread out, and they put those culverts so far apart to try to, because there must have been spots where the water over top of the road.
And that needs to change, right?
Yeah.
We need to get that all put into one
Yes,
area. to
and that's
cross.
why it would be a county
Yeah.
structure then.
Okay.
No, on Horseshoe. It's where that
It's over there
combine-
where,
Over the combine?
Yeah, where the combine.
Okay.
where Larry fell off the road.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Okay,
So that summarizes the items that I had to speak about, and if feel like I'm becoming the center point of the meeting every time I'm here. My list keeps going. We'll get some of these projects done and we'll off here.
That's what we're doing, we're adding projects faster than we're getting them.
That's- I was hoping that one, since it's just us doing it, it would just be let's just get her done.
Right. Chris, can we reach out to Spearville Township and see about making sure we have some of those guys there at the meeting?
They've already RSVP'd.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
I do plan on being here next week for the township meeting.
Okay.
So that's Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
We
questions?
don't have anything action here then? Okay. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all. It's a busy summer.
Yep. Let's get it done. Thank you, John.
The next item we have is for human resources. Fire and EMS phone stipend.
Good afternoon. Honestly, I don't think that since we switched to the cell phone stipends, that we have the position of deputy chief in place. So I'm just asking for approval of a phone stipend for the position of deputy chief in the amount of $80. That position does need the ability to take photos and use data.
I'll make a motion to approve a phone stipend for the Ford County Deputy Chief position.
I'll second that. And I'll go ahead and call it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have is Sheriff's Office.
Can get Kyle come in and give a speech for it?
Might be awkward at the beginning, but could get really going. Passionate.
We've been having fun with him. Hello. So what I've got is the annual asset forfeiture reports. So state, we need to make sure I have the right state report. This would be the Special Law Enforcement Trust Fund. We have started out the year with $60,345.78. And we are currently at $69,416.17. Total expenses in the amount of $18,212 for last year on the account, so these are the accounts that I need to sign, just to prove so we get mailed in on our short timeline. Federal one, give me a second, to figure out how to read this one. They make me so easy.
Bring one up.
Yeah. There's not much in this. Looks like, justice funds, the amount of $12,820.92. That was the beginning dollar amount. And it looks like we've ended with $6,380.30. Oh, sorry, I correct myself on that. $6,440.62. Not much left in that, that's the federal equitable sharing account, so. And again, the independent auditor on this is Kennedy and McKee, so. Just asking for Commissioner Chairman's signature on those and get that completed.
I'd make a motion to approve signing the annual, this is a state and a federal asset forfeiture report.
Yes, sir.
Have a second.
Motion second, any discussion? Call vote, all those in favor? Aye.
On a separate note, I just got this on my desk, so you know, Jeff Davis does a phenomenal job on tracking our mileage for the year, just for inmate transports. Some interesting numbers, we drove a total of 78,865 miles last year.
Inmate transfers.
Yeah.
Courthouse is a long way away.
Jeff tracks everything, to every dental doctor, everywhere he goes. court appearances, out-of-state transport, so it's kinda neat when you see that, and you start considering, with COVID restrictions, and we had one jury trial in the court system last year, all, but obviously we're still put a lot of miles on traveling across the state, so interesting numbers.
Thanks.
Next item we have is the K-Work Claim 22 annual premiums.
Am I presenting that?
Go right ahead.
It's a big sign.
Well, usually, we get a packet that gives us some history, and I contacted K-Work, and they said they go out to the end of December, but Amy and admin hadn't received the packet. I hadn't received the packet, so the only thing I have for you today is the total premium amount. Usually I tell you, oh, it went up or it went
Yeah.
down or whatever, so, I apologize for not, maybe it's a blessing that I don't have a lot to say, but, I am asking that we pay the premium in the amount of $173,054. And just as a reminder, this is the premium that they send in December. Then they conduct an audit of actual wages in February. So we could either get a refund or an additional invoice once that audit of wages is completed.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the 2022 invoice for K-Work as presented.
I'll second that. Is there any way you can find out that information about what it was prior year and just give us that number?
Yes, and I think if I request another packet and just let them know that we haven't received it, they'll
Yeah.
send a full packet. I just noticed that we didn't have our little 2022 certificate when I started digging into it, or the current rates. Chris needs, a lot of our department heads want the cost of labor for when they're billing. So then it's like, I don't remember seeing that, so I will get that and give it to admin and they can share it.
Yeah, perfect.
That's okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Next item we have is information technology, VMware.
Good afternoon.
Marty, how are you?
Good, gentlemen. First item I've got is for a VMware upgrade. And what that's for is our disaster recovery site and our production site for the actual hardware. That consists of that, we're upgrading it from 6.7 to 7.0. And so the quote you have in front of you is to get that accomplished. We will not do both sites at the same time, just for the fact of having redundancy available. So we'll probably start with disaster recovery site first. Once that's done and complete, up and running, we'll start on the production site. And then that way, if we have any problems, we've got good snapshots over to the disaster recovery site. If there's any questions or concerns of what all that, basically it's software to the hardware, firmware updates. That documentation has been reviewed by Mr. Herbs and was approved, and we've moved forward with you folks.
So this is the 23,445.
I believe that was correct, yes, sir.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the VMware upgrade as presented.
One second.
Okay, motion second, any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item we have is information technology, Merge One, Meraki Renewal.
The Meraki renewal. Yes, sir.
Meraki.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The Meraki renewal is for the firewalls that the county has. We have 4 main firewalls that are in place at this time. We also have some additional access point firewalls that are in place. Those are renewable on a usually I try to do them on a 3-year note. I believe that's what's been proposed here as well. Yep. For 3-year support. That way we don't have to keep coming back to you for every year to review those. I might ask if we could hold off on this one, because I was just emailed today that some of our equipment is coming end of life. And so they're wanting the chance to requote this with replacements. Rather than buy a 3-year and say 2.5 years in, one of our pieces of equipment go down, and they can't give us that model back or even a used model. So if you don't mind, I would like to ask that we hold off on this renewal and see what the quote difference would be for replacement equipment. And I do apologize, I would have had this removed had I got that email sooner.
How soon do you?
I should have it
expect to hear
within this
that?
week, so we can have it for the next meeting. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we table this item to the next county commission meeting.
Second that, then we'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item is IT again, phase 3.
It is. I did ask to have that one removed earlier today, so I don't know if that made the agenda cut or not.
Amy came and talked to me about it.
Okay, no
Basically,
problem.
what we'll do is just make a motion to remove this from the agenda.
I did receive a notice from Mr. Curb's office on Friday, and that's why I'm asking to have it removed, so that we can get with that vendor and see if they can meet the state guidelines and information that Mr. Curb gave me.
So does it need to be removed, or does this need to be tabled until the next meeting?
I think it's still gonna be something.
Yes,
you'll
it is. Something I'll bring
consider,
back to you,
yeah.
so that for the next meeting would be good.
The next meeting at what time?
Yes.
The ball's kind of in their court.
Right.
We've made our request, and I don't know how quickly that'll come back, Marty.
Right. Well, I've contacted them today, so I'm hoping I'll hear something by the end of this week.
Make the motion. I'd make a motion that we table this until Marty brings it back to us with the information that he needs.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second that. With the motion and second, I'll go and just call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item is upcoming meetings. NACO Legislative Conference, February 12th through the 16th. Marriott Wardman Park, Washington, D.C. County Day at the Capitol, February 16th. State Capitol. Annual Chamber Banquet, February 25th. Boot Hill Casino and Resort Conference Center, starting at 6 p.m. Dodge City Night in Topeka, Tuesday, March 1st. Shawnee Room at Hotel Topeka, starting at 5:30 p.m. And the Three Eyes Show, March 17th through the 19th.
Mr. Chairman, we had the opportunity to visit with Executive Director of KEC last week when we were in Topeka. Visited about KEC, also about NACO, and after hearing what he had to say about NACO, in meetings that he had been to earlier that month, we thought maybe we'd be able to go ahead and attend the NACO conference here coming up February 12th to the 16th. When we started researching that, they had a brand new notice on that registration that the mayor of DC was you have to have a vaccination card, proof of vaccination.
To enter DC?
To basically enter DC. You're not gonna enter conference facilities, you're not gonna enter hotels or restaurants or anything like that without proof of vaccination. So I think we kind of completely backed off of doing that. In light of that, and I know that we have in the past attended the Southwest Kansas delegation that travels there on occasion too. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm wondering whether we as a board should plan a trip back there to talk about our issues.
Yep.
And do that on an individual basis, not affiliated with,
Yeah.
with these other deals. At least maybe this year. And while we're there, we take the opportunity to go see NACO. And maybe I have concerns that we have a mayor of the city of Washington DC that is, for all intents and purposes, stopping us as elected officials or even constituents that want to go see their senators or representatives from being able to do that unless they share her views about vaccination.
Right.
I don't think that's right. I question the constitutionality of being able to do that. You're stopping people from being able to access their representation in Washington DC. And I don't think that's right. So, that's something I would suggest that we explore a little bit. We can bring it up later. It's not an action item here now, but with this meeting here coming up, we're not gonna be able to attend that.
Right. Right. It's good thoughts.
That's all I have.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second.
A motion, second. All those in favor?
That's probably why.
Definitely
I was
why.
growling.
I'll just sit down.